Today's video. I will provide a link for that underneath the video in the description box. I'm going to add a little bit of all-purpose flour and we'll just roll this out. And there are little specks in here, and that's vanilla. If you add your vanilla to a recipe before it's fully wet, you can get these little spots. They look kind of nice. The vanilla extract will actually clump up in the recipe and create those little specks. So if you're ever wondering how those were, created, now you know. So I want this thin. And a little trick, take your offset spatula and just run it right through. That releases it from your work surface. And if you have flour on the side, you can just get it in there. Just like that. Roll it a little bit thinner. And we're going to bake these 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's good. So I have a mini cupcake pan right here, and this is what I'm going to be using today. So very, very small pan. So I'm just going to line this up. So you can either use something fancy like I'm using, or you can use a circle, it doesn't really matter. But you want to place this on the top and make sure that it's always larger than your area, because it is going to sink down. So you need to be able to make sure that it comes up over the sides just a little bit. Just get that in there. And I know I'm not on camera, so I'm just going to move everything over here. And there we go. And then I'm just going to take this and just slowly push it in. You don't want to tear, so really, really easy. And don't worry about it sinking to the bottom. As it starts to bake, it will actually sink on its own. So that's good, like that. And we'll go here. Make sure I'm on camera. And then you just want to just gently get it in there. No need to push it right down to the bottom. And that's good. And these are really, really yummy. So it's just another creative way to use a sugar cookie dough and chocolate ganache, something that I really, really, really love. I'll do another one. And these are very small. You want to make sure that you keep an eye on them in your oven. About 6 minutes or so and they'll be done. Now if you want them a little bit more crisp, then you're going to aim for about 8 minutes. But really do keep an eye on them, because in the last minute or so, they really tend to brown up very, very quickly. Okay, I think I'm going to do one more over here. We'll just get that in there. And that's perfect. So now I'm going to pop these into my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 6 to 7 minutes. At this point, my mini sugar cookie cups have completely baked. I baked them for 7 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So at this point, they're cool, and now we can remove them from the tin. You can see, not overly brown on the bottom. I don't want them too crispy, but they're perfect, just like this. If you want them a little darker, you can add a minute or two more to the baking time. What I have here is a chocolate ganache recipe that you can find on my YouTube channel. But what's different about this one is that I used 10% cream instead of whipping cream. But you can still see this is a really, really nice chocolate ganache. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to start filling our little cups. I don't want to overdo it. Just a little bit in each one. And you can use a piping bag as well, which will give you a little bit more accuracy, but I just wanted to show you that you can do it with a spoon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put these into the fridge to chill down. And these are great because they're bite-sized. So give each one enough. Try to make them the same amount in each one. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more there. And a little bit more here. And there we have it. And then if you wish, you can leave them like that. Have them a little bit more rustic, or you can just give them a little tap just to help the chocolate ganache settle. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to pop these into my fridge and I'll come back when they're set. This is about an hour later. My mini sugar cookie cups have been chilling in the fridge and they're nicely chilled up, so let's cut into one of them. So I'll just take a nice one to cut into. And let's zoom in while we cut into it. And let's see what it looks like. You can see it's nicely firm now. There we have it. So just to finish off our video today, we have our nice sugar cookie base right here and our nice chocolate ganache interior. Now you don't want this rock hard when you're biting into it, but I'm just going to show you what the texture's like after 1 hour in the fridge. We'll just check this out and you can see that it's nice and firm, but it's not rock hard. And there we have it. And of course I'm going to try a little piece. That's good. Yum. The last little suggestion that I'll make is that we could have taken a little bit of sea salt and just put it onto the top after we had placed our chocolate ganache in our little cup. Totally optional, but that's a good step as well. So that's it for this really fast video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. Five tablespoons of cake flour, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and our last ingredient, 1 egg. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For my first step, I'll get my egg into a large bowl. To that, I'm going to add my vegetable oil. And then I'll add in all of my granulated sugar. Then I'll grab a whisk and just start whisking this all together. Just get this really mixed up well. And then to thin it out a little bit, just add in your milk. And then I'll add in the salt. And then we're going to sift in our flour. So I've got a sieve. I'll get my cake flour in there and our baking powder. And I am using cake flour in this recipe because it makes a more tender cake. And then for the last time, I'll grab my whisk and just mix everything really well. And this recipe here is enough for 1 cake, which I'll be showing you in a second, the little tin that we're going to use. And in case you're wondering, you could add vanilla into this. I would add about half a teaspoon, so about 2.5 milliliters. So that's ready to go. On to our next step. The mold I'm using today is a little heart-shaped mold because Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So this is a springform pan. It has a little clip here. And what I've done is I've lined mine with parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, you can simply put a little bit of oil in here, grease it up, and then put some flour, shake it around so that all the surfaces are covered and you're ready to go. So then we're just gonna get our batter right into there. Okay, that's perfect. So now I'm going to pop my cake into my 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 30 minutes. So my cake has been sitting here for about 10 minutes. I baked it for a total of 30 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I just want to grab a little spatula and I just want to go around so that we get a clean break when I open this. It seems good. We'll just open up the little latch here, right open, and just check everything's good. And then we'll slowly get our cake out. And there we have it. I'm just going to check this. So it looks pretty good. So at this point, I am just going to let this completely cool, and then we're going to cut into it and finish it off. At this point, my cake has completely cooled. I'm just going to get my palette knife in the bottom. I just want to make sure I get a clean break. And then we'll just lift it off. And that's the magic of that parchment paper. Nothing sticks. So there's our little white cake ready to go. I'm going to grab a serrated knife and I just want to clean up the top. I'm going to just gently cut right through with a nice gentle sawing motion. And there we have it. And that looks really nice. Very, very nice and moist. You can see my finger when I press, how nicely it bounces back. And this cake has a really tender crumb because we used that cake flour. If you cannot find cake flour in your local grocery store or it's too expensive, I do have a video on my channel which shows you how to make cake flour out of regular all-purpose flour. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my cake through the middle because I do want to apply a little bit of vanilla buttercream to the inside. What I have here is some nice vanilla buttercream. I'm going to fill a piping bag and then I'm just going to do the filling for our little cake. Just before I do put it into the piping bag, I wanted to show you how nice this is and how fluffy this is. And as always, I'll always include links in the description box below my video for all of the things that I used in my video. So I've got my nice buttercream ready to go, and I am using a Wilton 1A tip in case you're wondering. Now whenever I look at a cake, I always look at the top. If it's not perfect in that shape, all I do is I flip it over because the inside usually has a better accurate shape, and that's what I'm looking for in this case. So that's good. So all I've done is just flipped over that top piece. And then we're just going to load this up with a little bit of nice buttercream. And that's good, just like that. I'm just going to grab my little palette knife and I'm just going to quickly even this out. And that's good. We'll grab our upper piece and then get right over your cake so you can make sure that it looks perfect from the top. That looks good. For the last part of our video, I'm just going to pour a nice chocolate ganache right over the whole cake. One thing that I did want to mention is that I just went around and put a little bit more of that buttercream around just to make all of the edges really nice and smooth all the way around our cake. So I'm using a very simple chocolate ganache. This is equal parts chocolate to heavy cream, which is whipping cream, 35% cream, so a 1-to-1 ratio. I do have a recipe link underneath this video if you want to see how this was made. We'll just get our nice ganache all over. Just let it drip down. And anything that goes into our bowl, we'll just reuse this. Just make sure all of your edges are done. And that looks good, just like that. So I'm just going to let this cool down a little bit, and then I'll come back and we're going to finish the cake off. At this point, my chocolate has set up really nice, and we're ready to go with our last step. With one of my chocolate molds, I have made a variety of little chocolate hearts that I can put on the top of my cake. Since our cake is chocolate, the chocolate one here will not contrast very well, so I thought I would go with one of the red ones. These two I poured into my mold and I made them a little bit thicker. These here are just a little bit thinner. These here look a little bit nicer to me. They look a little bit more delicate. I kind of like these ones better. I'm going to grab my knife and I'm just going to make a little slit in here. And then I'm going to grab this little heart. And this is a candy heart. I'm just going to pop that in. And there we have it. Doesn't that look cute? So I've just zoomed in a little bit just to show you this a little closer up. I always like to zoom in and show you a little bit more detail. That's a really fun cake to do and so easy. And in case you're wondering, I made this little chocolate heart with a Houten chocolate mold. So let's cut into this and I'll show you what it looks like inside. Just grab a couple of forks here and just lift that out. I'm going to flip that around. Oh, that looks really good. Let's zoom in. So here we have our really nice cake interior. So we have that plain cake, then we have our nice buttercream in the middle, another layer of the cake, and then our really simple chocolate ganache on top. So I'll just put my fork through this just to show you how nice this cake is. Look at this. Ooh, I'm gonna have to try some. Oh, that's really good. This is a very rich cake with all of this stuff going on, so you only need a little piece. As always, anything that you saw me use in the video but I didn't actually make in this video, there'll be a link for it in the description box underneath this video in the text area. So that includes the buttercream frosting and also the chocolate ganache on the top. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Cookie dough, or you can try my easy sugar cookie dough recipe, and I'll provide a link for that below this video in the description box. First thing we're going to do, get a little bit of flour on the top and bottom, and I'm just going to roll this out. So these are going to be 1 or 2 bite-sized. Very fun to make and very simple. And I like it like that. You can make them as thin or as thick as you wish. I have a little pizza tray here. I'll just put that to the side. And I have a piping bag tip. You can use a cookie cutter if you wish, but you want to have something that's very small so that it truly is 1 or 2 bites maximum. I'll just push this out. I'm just using the back of a spoon. So you can see this little piece of dough that we're using here is going to make a lot of cookies. For this video, I'm not going to use all of this. So I just want to show you the general idea, and then you can modify it however you like at your house. Okay, I think that's good for this recipe. Just move this to the side. So here we have our cookies. So now I'm going to pop my cookies into my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 11 minutes. Now if you want your cookies a little bit on the crisp side, you're going to go 12 to 13 minutes. If you want them softer, you're going to go about 10 minutes to 11 minutes maximum. So at this point, my cookies have baked and they are now cooled. I did bake them for exactly 11 minutes in my 350-degree Fahrenheit oven. So these are quite nice. A little bit of browning on the bottom. You don't want to make them too dark because then they get a little bit too crispy. But now we are ready for the last step, and we're going to dip them in our milk chocolate. So I'm just going to put down a silicone mat, and now we're ready to go. I'll get that up here. And then very, very simple. I'm just going to grab my cookie and I'm just going to go about halfway. Just give it a little dip. And my chocolate is tempered. If you don't temper your chocolate and you touch the chocolate part of your cookie, it's going to melt. So you want to keep away from touching the chocolate area of your cookie if you don't temper your chocolate. If you don't know how to temper chocolate, I do have a video on my YouTube channel on how to do that. I try to explain it very, very in easy terms. And if you try it out, you'll learn how to temper chocolate. It's actually not hard at all. So you just want to dip, dip, dip. Let it drip, and then just place it down. And if you don't have a silicone mat, you can use either parchment paper or wax paper. Don't those look nice? So just dip. I think they look nicer with part of the sugar cookie showing. I mean, you could always cover the whole thing if you wished. I think they look really nice like this. So I'm just going to keep going at this. I'll be back in 1 second. And our last one. And there we go. Perfect. So at this point, if you have tempered your chocolate correctly, you can just leave your cookies like this and the chocolate will harden on its own. If you have not tempered your chocolate, you can take your cookies and just pop them into the fridge for about 5 minutes, bring them out, the chocolate will be nice and hard and set up. So at this point, I'm just going to leave my cookies here, let them set up, and then I'll come back in a little while. So this is about 20 minutes later, and all of the chocolate has set on my sugar cookies. So really, really nice. You can see, using that silicone, these just come right off. So I guess the only thing to do now, I'll just zoom in just to show you these a little closer up. So here we have our mini sugar cookies, a lot closer up. Really, really nice. A nice size, 1 or 2 bite maximum. Great for parties, great for times when you don't want to eat a big cookie. So that's it for this really fast video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. For this recipe, we're going to need 3 tablespoons of milk, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 egg, 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and our last ingredient, 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. So today's recipe should be really, really fast and really easy. We're going to pop our egg into a large bowl. To that, I'm going to add in my milk. Grab a whisk. Start whisking that. I'll add in all of my granulated sugar. And then our vegetable oil. And you can use different types of oil. You could use canola oil if you wish. Or a mix. You could use a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of vegetable oil, or a little bit of olive oil and canola oil as well. We'll just get all that together. My little bit of salt. And then we're going to whisk in our dry ingredients. So I've got my sieve ready to go. I'm just going to whisk this a little bit more. That looks good. I'm going to grab a sieve, get my cocoa powder in there, my all-purpose flour, and our baking powder. Get that all in. I'll grab the back of a spoon and just push all of that through. And there we have it. And then we're going to simply just mix all of this together. And this here is going to make one cake, one very small cake. And I do have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I get a question a lot about preheating your oven. How long should I preheat it? On your oven you should have a little beeper that goes off. So what you'll do is when you're making this, just before you start mixing your ingredients, you want to turn your oven on, set it to 350, and then let it run. And it should beep when it comes to that temperature. If you don't have that kind of oven, get your oven going and wait about 15 minutes. That will give it ample time for it to get up to that temperature. So this here, really simple. And believe it or not, this is already done and we are ready to fill our tin. We're ready to fill our pan, but just before we do, I'll just talk about this a little bit. This here is a 4-inch in diameter spring-form pan, and I have sprayed it with some grease and then just sprinkled all-purpose flour in here and just tapped it around. So that is ready to fill. And the other dimension, in case you're wondering, this is 1 3/4 inches high. So 4 inches in diameter by 1 3/4 inches high. We'll grab our batter and just get it right in there. And I do have my oven set to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to pop this into my oven for 25 minutes. Okay, so this was in my oven for exactly 25 minutes at my 350 degrees. This is extremely hot right now, so we're just going to let this cool and then we'll come back and we're going to unmold it. My cake has been cooling for about a half an hour. About 10 minutes after it started cooling, I just opened the little ring here just to expose air inside. If you don't do that, then what will happen is sometimes you'll get a little bit of condensation and the cake will be a little bit on the wet side. So you can just open it up and that will let a little bit of the air get inside. And then I'll just remove the ring and there is our really nice cake. And then to remove the bottom, just grab a knife. We'll just get that right underneath and it just pops right off just like that. For the next part of our video, I'm going to cover this with a nice buttered chocolate ganache. First thing that we're going to do, we're going to cut off the top to level it. So we'll grab our cake. I have a serrated knife here, which means it has little blades on it or little teeth which act like a saw. I'll just turn this over and I'm just going to eyeball this and then I'll just cut off the top. Just like that. We're ready for our next step. I have a little pizza tray under here and some parchment paper to catch our chocolate ganache drippings. So I've just taken the cake and I've just turned it upside down because this side is very flat. So this was the bottom. I have some nice chocolate ganache here, and this here is a recipe that contains butter as well. I do have a link for that. I'll put that in the description box underneath this video if you want to see how this was made. And I'm just going to take this, and this is warm right now. It flows a lot better when it's warm. And then I'm just going to start pouring this on. And just get that all the way around. And just try to look all the way around and make sure that it's getting down pretty well all over the sides. If you miss any, just add a little bit more and just direct it over in that area and let gravity do the rest. I'm going to look around on the other side just to make sure everything's done. And that looks good. Just like that. You can give it a little tap if you wish, just to settle it. And that's perfect. And now I'm going to pop that into my fridge and then we'll come back. So I'm going to leave that in the fridge about 20 minutes. I just want to let that set up and then we'll come back later and we'll cut into it and I'll show you the final product. So here's our cake. It's nicely chilled now. I'll just remove the pizza tray. I've got a plate here. I'm going to transfer our nice cake onto the plate. That's nice. And there we have it. So I guess we'll cut into it next. Very, very nice. I'll just get underneath there. Hopefully there's a good break. And there we have it. Let me just clean this up a little bit. I'll turn this around. And then we'll zoom in. So for the last part of my video, I just zoomed in quite a bit just to show you our cake really close up. So here we have our nice chocolate cake interior and that really nice buttered chocolate ganache on the top. And I know I'm going to get this question, so I will answer it. Yes, we could have cut the cake in half and poured this chocolate ganache in the middle as well. You could do that as well. But it's such a small cake, I thought I didn't really need it. But you could do that as well. So we've come to that time again, the end of another video. As you can see, this was a really, really simple recipe to make. I hope you try it at home. Simple recipe, really, really yummy and moist chocolate cake. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. Watch this. Look at how moist that is. Oh, that's really good. That's it. And you're gonna have amazing corn. So let's get started. What I have here is a fresh ear of corn ready to go in the microwave. You don't have to do anything to it. We're gonna take it just like this, right into the microwave. So a couple seconds later, we're at the microwave. I'm gonna take my ear of corn, pop that in there, close it up, and I'm gonna set this to 3 minutes on high. So we'll start that off now. 5, 4, 3, 2. So there we have it, 3 minutes on high. This is going to be extremely hot, so make sure you have an oven glove or something to grab your corn. And now we'll head back to the table. So once this has come out, get yourself a cutting board, grab the corn like this, and you just want to take a little bit off the edge. And this is where the magic really happens here. You're going to cut off the end, and be careful, extremely hot. Grab yourself a dish, And then you're going to grab the end and you're going to start applying pressure. You're going to start squeezing. And watch this. Look at this. It just comes right out. Grab a fork and pull. And look at that. Amazing. Whew, hot. And no mess. Right into the garbage. And there we have it. And then to finish off, I'm just going to take some nice butter and get that melted all over. I have done this so many times I cannot count, and every time it comes out perfect. This is really, really fast and easy. A super, super trick. And I hope you try it out at home. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And this is ready to eat. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this really fast video. Really, really fun to do. The next time you have corn on the cob, I hope you try it this way. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. I'm gonna have to try some of this. This is extremely hot. Oh, that is so good. Delicious. Super, super amazing and full of flavor. So let's get on with this very, very fast recipe. So I've just zoomed in to show you what this looks like a little closer up. And this is onion soup mix. This is exactly what you would use if you're making soup, but we're going to be putting it into our yogurt. And you can find this at any grocery store. For my recipe today, I have 2 cups of yogurt. This is 2% yogurt. This is 430 grams. I also have 3 tablespoons of onion soup mix, and that is equal to 30 grams or 45 milliliters. So the only thing that we need to do, just grab our mix and get it right into there. Grab a spoon or a whisk and just start mixing this together. And I know what you're wondering. You're saying, can I use sour cream instead? Yes, you can. It's going to be a lot higher in fat content, but you can use that as well. So you want to mix until combined, and then you want to cover this with plastic wrap and put it in your fridge for a few hours. If you can hold off, wait till the next day, because this gets so much better after a day sitting in the fridge where all of the ingredients really come together. So just 2 simple ingredients and we get a really, really nice dip. And a recipe tip, if you want your dip a little bit thicker, you can strain your yogurt before you add the onion soup in. That's it for today's really fast video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. Easy lemon pound cake, and here are the ingredients that we need. 1/2 cup of salted butter, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of milk, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of lemon juice, 2 eggs, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and our last ingredient, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. So our first step is to get all of our butter into our bowl. And my butter is nice and soft. It's at room temperature. It's been sitting out for several hours. And then to that, I'm going to add in our granulated sugar. And at this point, I want to start creaming the sugar and the butter together. So I'm going to get my mixer going. Speed number 1. I'm going to slowly start getting all of this together. And this is a really, really important step. We want to make sure that we cream these two ingredients. It makes a big difference in the final product. And if you have a KitchenAid stand mixer with the paddle attachment, this works extremely well. So this is about 30 seconds later. This is all coming together nicely. I'm going to grab my first egg and get that in there. And that's just going to loosen up the mixture, give it a little bit more moisture, and then everything's going to start coming together really well. I just increased my mixer a little bit. And you can see now, with the addition of that egg, how smooth this is getting. I'll add in my second egg. And now you can increase your mixer and really get some air into the mixture at this point. Okay, that looks good. You can see how nice and fluffy that is. There's lots of air that has been added to the mixture. I'm just going to slide this over. So we have our flour. I'm going to put my salt in there, my baking powder, and my baking soda. And then I'm going to just give it a little bit of a whisk. I want to just get all of this combined. That's good. So I have our milk and our lemon juice, and I'm just going to add both of those together. And then we'll bring back our bowl. I'm going to start mixing. Just want to get a little bit more air into my mixture. Okay, that's good. And then we're going to do a couple of additions. So I'm going to start off with our flour mixture. Just get a little bit of that in there. Grab our mixer. Slowly mix this in. Speed number 1. I don't want to overwork our batter. And then I'm going to grab our milk and lemon juice, a little bit of that in there, and just mix it in. That's good. And then a little bit more of our flour. Get that in. And slowly incorporate this. Speed number 1. And then I'm going to get the rest of that in. Don't overmix. Okay, that's good. And then our last addition of flour. And that includes our baking powder, baking soda, and our little bit of salt. Okay, and then very, very lightly start mixing this. And that's it. I do have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's ready to go. And I have a little baking tin here, and I have it lined with parchment paper. This parchment paper in some countries is called baking paper. I'm going to grab my batter. It's very important to have your oven preheated. So make sure your oven is going and that it's at the right temperature, the correct temperature, before you start making your recipe. And you can see how airy this is. It's super, super fluffy. I'm going to get that in here. Just get all of that in. And make sure that you use a spatula. We want to make sure we get all of that out of our bowl and into our pan. Just like that. And this smells really, really good. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to get that little bit there. Perfect. And then I'm just going to very gently just push, and this is just spreading it. I don't really want to like move around too much in there. And just like that. That's good. So now I'm going to pop this into my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven, and I'll be back when it's done. So here we have our lemon pound cake right out of the oven. I baked it for a total of 50 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, it's extremely hot. I'm going to let it cool down for about 20 minutes, and then I'll unmold it and I'll come back and I'm going to show you the final product. So this is about 20 minutes later, and my cake is still warm, but I just want to get it out of my pan so that I don't have any condensation happening. I'll remove my little metal pins. And I'll just grab the parchment paper and just pull it right out. And there we have it. Get rid of our pan here. So at this point, I want my lemon pound cake to completely cool, and then I'm going to come back later and we're going to do a simple glaze for the top. What I have here is 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. This is equal to 260 grams. To that, we're going to add some fresh lemon juice. So I'm going to start off 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons. So that is equal to 60 milliliters. I'm going to grab my mixer and just very slowly start mixing this together. If you don't want to use lemon juice, you can also use milk or water. But this makes it really, really nice. And for the glaze, I don't want it too thin. So I'm going to check it first and see how I like it. And then if it's too thick, I'll add a little bit more. So after mixing it for a few seconds, I'm happy with the thickness like this. So that's 2 cups of confectioner's sugar to 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. So that's what we're going to use for our glaze today. So at this point we have 2 options. We can either glaze the cake just like this. So if we do it like this, we're going to get drips all the way around. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pan and I'm going to drop this in here because I'm going to fill it up in here. I want to have my glaze a little bit thicker, and this will kind of hold it in like that so it doesn't drip down the sides too much. I want to have more on the top. So I'm going to grab my glaze. That smells good. I'll get it right on here. Now if you were going to do it the other way without putting it back into the pan, you can add a little bit more lemon juice and thin it out a little bit more. But I think this is going to be nice. We'll get all of that in there. And I'm just going to spread it around. I want it to go on all the edges, get right to the edges. That's good. And I want to try to make sure that it's nice and even. I'm going to give it a little bit of a tap. And there we have it. Now since I did it this way, this is going to take a while for it to set up. So I'm going to let it completely firm up, and then later on we'll come back and we'll cut into it. So this is about 5 hours later. I really wanted my icing to really firm up before I unmolded it. And now that it has, I'm just going to go around, and I want to get a really nice clean break here. So I'm just pushing it in so we can pull it out and the cake won't break. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to grab it. I've got a little bit sticking right here. I just want to make sure that's good. All right, and let's try this again. And here we go. Pull away the sides. Oh, that smells so good. Oh, really, really nice. So at this point, I just want to transfer it to a cutting board, and then I'll come back in a second. So I'm just going to get a nice little slice, clear off the edge here. Look at that. Wow, I'm just going to zoom in right there. So I've zoomed in quite a bit because I'm very excited to show you what this pound cake looks like inside. Really, really nice. We have our nice lemon glaze right on the top there. Looks really nice, and this smells amazing. So here is our final product right here, and I'm just going to, where are we here? I'm just going to cut a little piece. Can you see how nice this cuts? Really, really nice. And this is super, super moist. But you see, it's nice and dense, and this is what you want with a pound cake. Really, really good with a cup of tea or coffee. And of course, I'm going to have to try a little piece. That's really, really good. You get a really nice burst of lemon flavor when you bite into this. If you love lemon baked goods, this is a recipe that I really, really hope that you try. Super easy. You saw me make it. If I can do it, you can do it too. If you enjoyed today's recipe, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. If you're on Facebook, you can see written ingredients on my Facebook page, facebook.com/bakelikeapro. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you next time.